E ngā mana engari o tēnā koutou katoa, rangatira mā e te whānau, nau mai, haere mai, piki mai, kaki mai. Very warm welcome, councillors, to our council meeting today. Welcome to members of the public and the community that is here. Lovely to see you, Richard. And someone over there who's we don't know, but welcome to you. Very nice to see you in the chamber. And a very warm welcome to our Hastings Church Minister, Warren Hickey. Lovely to have you with us, Warren. And if we could start today's council meetings with a karakia, very warm welcome. Lovely to have you in the chamber, Warren. Pastor Hickey, should I say formally?
Perfect. Thank you for this honour. Let's bow our heads. Lord our God, we ask on this day that you lead us to value and to celebrate our diversity and to recognise and to offer up on the altar of our common purpose the distinctive gifts by which we enrich each other and our mission. Help us to cherish both our talents and our interdependence as we make common cause in the service of you and our community. Look with love on the people of this community and keep them safe in your service. Guide the members of this council and help them to work together for the good of all. Bless their plans and deliberations and bring them to success. Amen.
Thank you very much. And can we just thank you for the amazing mahi that you do in our city and our community, looking after our most vulnerable. So it was wonderful to see you, and thank you for your incredible work. We have leave of absence today has been granted previously to Councillor Lawson, Councillor Butter and Councillor Kerr. We have joining us via Zoom, Councillor Hickey, kia ora, welcome, and also Michael Bassett-Foss and Nikki Solomon from Foodies, and Tony Gray. Very warm welcome, and can we congratulate you, Mr. Gray, for your wonderful achievements recently with being recognised for the New Year's. Yes, a big round of applause to you. New Year's honours.
Thank you.
Well done. And we have a birthday today, so I wonder if we could all stand up for our waiata and sing happy birthday to Alan. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lynn. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Have a lovely day. I'm sorry you have to work on your birthday. Can I just remind everybody of conflicts of interest as we navigate through our agenda items today? Confirmation of minutes from the 1st of February. Minutes have been previously circulated. And we have a motion that the minutes of the council meeting held on Thursday, the 1st of February 2024 be confirmed as an accurate record. Can I have a mover? Councillor Watkins, a seconder. Councillor Fowler. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Councillor Corbyn, leave of absence request?
Yes, please.
Certainly.
21st and 22nd of March next week.
Thank you very much. That's previously been approved but wasn't formalised in this agenda. Thank you for reminding us of that. So just a verbal update from me, and can I just say, as 2024 has started off exceptionally busy for the first 2 months of our year, and my goodness, what a time we have had. And I think that the very important and first part of our year has been the commemoration of Cyclone Gabrielle and the amazing community events that we all attended. Can I acknowledge, families are still in a place of rebuilding their lives, and it was incredible to be able to be with the bereaved families at a civic service with Mayor Kirsten. It was amazing to be with our Pacifica community who were very vulnerable through the Cyclone Gabrielle and their commemoration service. And Waipatu Marae and the Gabrielle Remembrance, thank you Councillor Jessup for attending that on our behalf. I attended the Waiheke 1 year anniversary event. That was an amazing event with all the community at Toi Toi. We had the New Zealand Apples and Pears to reflect on all of our growers and their commemoration of what the impact on their growers and how important that was. And of course our Volunteers Appreciation Day, and what an amazing day that was with the Prime Minister at Tomoana Showgrounds. Can I also acknowledge our Earthquake Commemoration Day and what an important day that was. And thank you for everybody who attended that day, and to see some of our earthquake survivors still being there was a pretty special day. Can I thank the Councillor Fowler historian for leading that ceremony of our earthquake commemoration. Many thanks to Councillor Heki, who attended the Fiji Cup football on my behalf as I was doing earthquake that day, and that was welcoming all of our football teams down at the Regional Sports Park. The Hawke's Bay fruit growers had a wonderful industry night in early February, and that was in recognition of celebrating excellence for our horticultural community. It's always very, very special to acknowledge our industry leaders at that special event. We enjoyed an amazing Kaurunga homestead opening after many years, and the upgrade of the beautiful Kaurunga homestead, and to see that investment back into a place that was gifted to the people of Hastings, Havelock North. What a beautiful job that has been done for our community to access this incredible homestead. We've had 3 citizenship ceremonies in the last 3 weeks, welcomed over 100 new citizens, and that's just in 3 weeks, and in February we had another 2. So it's amazing to see our new citizens coming through. The Waitangi Day events are always incredibly special, and thank you for everyone who attended the celebration and thinking of and reminding us of the importance of our treaty and Waitangi Day commemorations. We had a very successful bus tour at Heretaunga Hastings for us as councillors to understand some of the fantastic examples of progress going on in Hastings. And it was amazing to see the TNG Global largest state-of-the-art pack house in Whakatū and biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. We also enjoyed seeing the beautifully constructed homes at Wainako and how important those new homes are to whānau and Flaxmere, and to see that beautiful subdivision growing. The BBI Wood Products and the new building training centre is going to be exceptional in Irongate, and we're incredibly grateful with our relationship with the O'Sullivan family and their commitment and investment in the Irongate industrial expansion area. It was a wonderful bus tour to actually understand that, you know, while we're facing some headwinds and some trying times and some recovery and rebuild, to see the investment that is going on here and across Heretaunga Hastings is quite exceptional. And the investment and the belief of a number of our key stakeholders in investing in our beautiful district. We had 2 incredible events, both Horse of the Year and also Art Deco Festival, and our part that we played in the Art Deco Festival, and to have 5 days of beautiful experience of seeing our top equestrian riders preparing for Olympics downtown in our city in Hastings, seeing the city set up, seeing people travelling from the far north to the deep south, all coming to Hastings to acknowledge and be part of an amazing event. And after 3 years of cancellations through COVID and cyclones, to host those events and see the contribution they make to our economy of between 6 and 10 million, and to have the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister there to see the significance of these events. That's what creates a buoyant economy, as we see everybody, even my husband couldn't get his takeaways because all the Hoi people were at the takeaway on Friday night. So everywhere we went, we had the beautiful people buying and supporting our local business community. It was a very, very special week. We had a great meeting with the Honourable Nicola Willis, the Minister of Finance, as we reopened the Taylor Corp pack house, and also had meeting with the regional leaders to understand our needs in post-cyclone. And to see Taylor Corp and their investment, they just got on throughout after the cyclone and invested back a significant job that they have done, and it's so reassuring to see that investment. Focus on Business Breakfast was recently held with keynote speaker David Downs and enjoyed by many of our community. Protecting our kids' futures from vaping, Vape Free Kids NZ was held at the Clock Tower, and thanks to Councillor Sholem for attending on my behalf to that event. And the aim of the event was to call on the government to step up in meaningful action to protect tamariki and rangatahi from harm of vaping in the future. Money Ora, which was, I welcomed a group of wonderful people to a very special festival, and this Pacifica Rainbow Plus community, it was a very, very special conference that was held at Toi Toi, and I loved welcoming everybody to that. International Cultures Day was the most colourful day and beautiful day to see hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people back enjoying our multicultural community and celebrating in our beautiful Cornwall Park. Lindisfarne Gala, as I help and support every year, thousands of people came out to this wonderful community event, and that night we had the opening of Matangi Meats Butchery in our city, and what an amazing place. I think it's the 13th that it opens to the public. Would that be right, Richard? Today. Today's the day. So if you haven't been down to see this exceptional place, get down and have a look at it. It is state of the art. It is loud and proud in the middle of our city. It's an investment of an old building that has been restored, rebuilt, and showcases who we are as a primary sector in Heretaunga Hastings. And it is absolutely a beautiful addition to our food and wine experience across our city. The Young Enterprise Speed Coaching event was lots of fun at Lindisfarne last week, and to see the entrepreneurship of these young people just blew me out of the water. We had every business opportunity you can imagine. We can say that our community is in very, very strong heart when we see the talent that is coming through the Young Enterprise, and what a great event by Chamber of Commerce. The Cape Coast Community Party on Saturday was a beautiful event. Thank you, Councillor Corbyn and the community for hosting one of our first of our resilience community leadership in terms of waiting and preparing and readiness for any future events. Couple of hundred people there, and to see everybody connected, getting the emergency packs, getting prepared for future events, it was very, very heartening to see. We had the Pahutakawa tree planting, and thank you, Councillor Sholem, for attending International Women's Day with me and recognising the leader of Heretaunga Women's Centre, Amanda, and her contribution that she made to the people of women of Hawke's Bay when she was the former manager of Heretaunga Women's Centre. It's a beautiful Pahutakawa tree. If you drive by, check it out, right in the prominent position in front of the Heretaunga Women's Centre, to remember Amanda and her amazing contribution to women. On Friday, we had incredible pōhiri for 600 TNG RSE workers from the Solomons, Samoa, Tonga, and Vanuatu. And the Chief Executive and myself attended the pōhiri at Matahiwi, and I was able to welcome the team, and I was excited to see the white vans driving through our city, stopping at our ATMs, buying the food at the dairies, and seeing them harvesting our crops, most importantly, throughout our district in this time. We will have up to 5,000 RSE workers in Hastings, and we certainly couldn't have the industry we have today without them. So it was wonderful to acknowledge and welcome them. So that concludes a major part of what we've been doing over the last month, and I just want to acknowledge everyone's support for attending some of these very special occasions. And while we don't have any formal reporting structure today, I'm just happy that you received my report. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions? I think I've missed a couple of things, and one was Auntie's Garden book launch. Thank you, Councillor Jessup. And we try to get everything down, but thank you for those who have attended some of those things that I may not have mentioned. And if you have anything else, please just sing out. So that brings us to item 5, Food East, Hōmāko, and the draft a statement of intent for 2024-25. And we have a short presentation, and I'll hand over now to Deputy Chief Executive Bruce Allen to talk us through it and introduce the team from Food East. Hōmāko. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Sandra. So this agenda item would normally go through the Performance and Monitoring Committee. We made a last minute change due to the timing of the Limited Partners meeting, which was the day before the Performance and Monitoring Committee. This allows the opportunity for Council to receive the draft statement of intent and provide feedback before that Limited Partners meeting. So because of that late change, unfortunately, Nikki Solomon, Chair of Food East, Michael Bassett-Foss, the Acting Chief Executive, and Tony Gray, the Hastings District Council appointed Director to Food East, obviously are unable to be here, and I know they'd much rather be here in person than presenting this remotely. So, but thank you for accommodating us. And on that note, I think I'll just point out, attached to the agenda is 2 items. One is the shareholders or a letter of expectation from Hastings District Council as a shareholder, and you'll note in that there's sort of 3 key areas that we focus on around completing the construction phase and the tenanting exercise that follow, or 2 really, in the commercial strategy. But I'll hand over at this point, Your Worship, to Nikki to take you through that, or Michael, whoever's leading the charge.
Thank you, Bruce.
Kia
ora, Nikki, Michael and Tony,
Kia ora.
lovely to have you with us, and I'm sorry we'll see you next time in person. And we're excited to watch progress happening. And this is your first time presenting to us, Nikki, so very warm welcome.
Thank you very much. Kia ora koutou, ko Nikki Solomon, taku ingoa, for those of you I don't know. Michael has the real short straw here because he's busy coaching surf lifesaving in the Bay of Plenty. So we're very lucky that he could join us. So I'm going to share my screen. We figured that was safer for the presentation. Michael will talk us through it, and then Tony and I can answer any questions. So hopefully this goes as seamlessly as possible. Just bear with me. Okay, can you see that?
We can.
Great. Awesome. Well, I'll hand over to you, Michael, and I'll do the page down on your signal.
Yeah, ngā mihi, Nikki, kia ora tātou, Mayor and councillors. Hey, great to be presenting, even if not in person. So I've only got 4 slides. The slides are largely focused on the statement of intent, which is in your agenda pack. But the first slide just gives a quick update and really speaks to the points in the quarterly report, or actually the half-yearly report. Food East is required to report quarterly, and the most recent report was the half-yearly report. So if we move to that first slide, thanks, Nikki. So you'll know that there is an expanded board to join Tony, with Nikki as chair, and I came in as well in about September last year, October. So so we've certainly sort of come up to speed and starting to hit our straps. The build is due for completion in mid-April. Of about the 13 odd million, in capital costs for the build, it's currently running at about $250,000 over what was contracted, or some variances too. And just as a reminder, if you don't know, normally with large construction projects, there are, there's built in a 10% typically contingency. With the Food East build, that contingency wasn't added. So I can assure you that the board and myself are very, very focused on finding savings and trying to land that in as close as possible to budget. Number one focus for the board and myself is the tenant search, getting people in the building. Certainly some interested parties. We are expecting some offers. There are none on the table at the moment, and no tenants signed up. And the conversion is just a little bit more sticky than just due to the current market conditions. And Bruce also mentioned the commercial strategy that goes alongside that, because there's revenue opportunities outside of just tenants through running events, naming rights, and a range of other things. So that currently sits in draft. The board discussed it in the in their February meeting, and they'll talk about it next week. I'll keep moving quite quickly. We had a strategy workshop with shareholder representatives and the board, November. That's transpired into a draft strategic plan. We do have conference bookings in the calendar, so we're effectively open for business, which is pretty exciting, and looking to bring on extra resource. In terms of operating expense, we are $200 under, that should read. I'll reword that. The operating expense for the first 6 months was just under 200,000, which is against a budget of 300,000. So we're sort of shooting under par. The second 6 months will come in under budget as well, and somewhat balance out the slight increase in capital costs. We place capital calls against our shareholders. One is currently live, $2 million in total against the 3 shareholders. Payment due the 20th of March. That'll fund the finish off of the construction and operating costs for around 6 months. So there'll be a second capital call or another capital call sort of about the end of this year. So moving on to the statement of intent, which is the next slide. Just the timeline and the framework. As a council-controlled trading organisation, we are required annually to have a statement of intent, or agree one with our shareholders. The limited partnership agreement we have with the shareholders outlines that timeline. Early in the year, the shareholders had the opportunity to provide a letter of expectations, and you'll see there some of the 3 bullet points that I've plucked out of that letter of expectations that council provided on the 13th of February. And I'll note, I will get to it, but all of the expectations and objectives that sat in the letter of expectations from council were very, very helpful and are reflected in the statement of intent. So I can assure you of that. Next slide is just a bullet point list of the strategic priorities from the statement of intent. I've talked to the tenancy revenue and the commercial strategy. One of the buildings is obviously set up for food manufacture, so that needs to remain important for Food East, and it does. And so does driving an innovation agenda. And there is a little bit of tension between being commercially astute and paying your own way, and driving an innovation agenda and actually finding funding for it. That third to last bullet point talks about communicating Food East stories. I really like to think of it as actually communicating stories of food and beverage in Hawke's Bay. Applying pride to that, to those good contributors to those stories, and really just being sort of a front door to really showcase the good stuff that we do here. And obviously well networked in New Zealand, and live opportunities that we're currently in discussions with around being a centre of excellence and across a number of different themes nationally. The last slide, just before I invite feedback on the statement of intent, which this presentation is really inviting, and noting also that there's a meeting of the shareholder representatives in the diaries for the 27th of March to formally receive feedback from the shareholders before the board make any tweaks that are required and provide it back. So these are the specific measures and targets. The budget has a 65% average occupancy rate for the 24-25 year, so that sits as one of the targets. There's the commercial strategy, and sitting alongside that is a financial model and work program that needs to be signed off. You'll be pleased to know that there is a health and safety policy that has been agreed by the board and signed off and endorsed, and we are in discussions with a health and safety advisor just to ensure that our health and safety, our wider health and safety system is robust. I've talked to the extreme focus on financial risk management, transparent communications you would expect, and the last bullet point there just around commercial return of more than 6%, including capital gain, which is an expectation by the shareholders. So, Nikki, I'll just pass back to you to fill any gaps, and then we'll invite feedback. Kia ora.
Kia ora, thanks, Michael. You did a great job. And yeah, we're really just open to questions. As Michael said, the letter of expectation was extremely helpful, and it was great to have that input as we drafted the statement of intent. So yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, team. Thanks, Nikki. Any questions, councillors? Excited to see the progress and the plan, and then over the next few months. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is on the tenancy, and in your search for tenants, is there an expectation or a bottom line on the tenant being in the business of innovation or having a program in place of innovation?
A good question. What we have decided, we've sort of got this catchphrase, we need to get busy and then get smart. So we're acknowledging the commercial pressures to ensure that the hub is fiscally sustainable, which then will support the innovation activity. So for our first cut, we're not requiring that tenants demonstrate any sort of innovation program. They obviously have to be related to the agri-food sector. And our intention is to work to get tenants in place in parallel with the innovative supporting activities. And then as we turn over tenants, we can be a bit more picky. We'll probably have a ecosystem of businesses that will understand what Food East is and what we offer. So we see it as being quite an iterative, developing kind of process by which we then can be more fussy about the innovation requirements that we might place on tenants.
Councillor Corbyn.
That does beg the question is how long the term of initial tenancy is, so that you are able to turn over and attract innovative businesses. So shall I ask how long is the term of initial tenancy?
We haven't defined that. Essentially, we've had clear messages from our shareholders that we need to wash our face. And so we're prioritising that as far as tenants go while we work on that innovation strategy. But to your point, we certainly won't be tying tenants in for long tenancies for the reason that you've defined.
So the long-term intention is to have innovative food sector people there. I think that's the answer to your question, Councillor Corbyn. Yes. So short-term focus of getting people in there, longer-term focus of innovation, food and beverage innovation. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. In the statement of intent, you refer to additional investment required for innovation. How much are you anticipating, and where do you see that coming from?
The challenge that we have, I have an echo. Is it just me? That's okay then, as long as it's not plugging for now. The challenge that we have is that
Nikki, I can comment on that if you like.
Sure.
In terms of where the money's coming from, it's all part of our commercial strategy, which Michael talked about, that we're actually working through, and indeed have a session with it in a week or so's time. But we see that commercial strategy not just focused on tenancy income, basically, but on a whole lot of other forms of income. It could be naming rights, sponsorship, money from the Crown, basically, could be some fees and charges of services that we may provide. And we're working through all of that, and that will be used to fund, if you like, the innovation activities and, potentially also returns to shareholders.
Thank you, Mr Gray.
Sorry, supplementary. I suppose, having been around right from the beginning of this project, and that it was very much sold to us on the innovation aspects of it, I'm still a little bit uncertain to how much of a, not necessarily a priority, but you've got some KPIs within the statement of intent, but I'm not sure whether they are specific enough around innovation.
I'm happy to answer that. I think one of the challenges with innovation, it's not a very precise term. So I think that where we're at the moment, and acknowledging that this statement of intent is covering the 12 months from the 1st of July. So if we think that through, what we need to do is finish the building, get the building operational, as Michael said, safe, comfortable, sensibly operating, and at the same time work on what innovation does mean in the Food East Haumako context. And the way I see that, I see it kind of being iterative, and that our vision, if we say 5 years out, we want that building humming with a mixture of established businesses doing innovative stuff, some capacity to support startups, lots of workshops, meetings, events where people are coming together. The journey to get there, to me, looks a bit like this. So I'm on the Kapiti Coast at the moment, where I've just been part of a presentation to a food and beverage cluster. So they are deliberately creating opportunities for food and beverage businesses to come together, to hear from people like me with my day job. The Economic Development Agency were there, Callaghan were there, blah, blah, blah. So I guess what I see is, in the very short term, that's really easy stuff, right? That's low-hanging fruit. That's kind of my day job, in a sense, is we can easily make Food East the place where those sorts of things are delivered, that then encourage a collaborative, innovative culture that grows around Food East. Now, it's a little bit harder to be specific. I'd love to say we're going to be the centre of excellence for, fermentation-based alternative protein foods for three-legged dogs in Africa. But, I would just be guessing. So we have some great businesses in Hawke's Bay. We've been talking to a lot of them. The exercise now is to understand what we can do and how we can do it to ensure that Food East is delivering what those businesses need on their innovation journey. So I understand the frustration that we can't be really specific, but to me, that feels natural for the time and place that we are. For those of you who don't know, I work for the New Zealand Food Innovation Network half-time, and I look after Tairāwhiti down to Wellington, which is why I'm in the Kapiti. And so I can honestly tell you that no one gets this right at the get-go, that it is a constant iterative process. I had a conversation today with the head of the EDA here, who was like, well, we want to support you guys. If this is happening in the Hawke's Bay, that's great for New Zealand, and we will do whatever we can to support you. So, I don't want to just say, trust us, we know what we're doing, because that would be disingenuous. But I think what I can say is we are collectively, the board and Michael, I think you've got a great board. you know, not putting myself in that mix. I think we have a great board with a great collection of skills and experience. We're all really committed to this. We're working really hard. We're really, really keen to continue to have your input, your feedback, your course corrections. But I don't want to promise something in a time that's not the time to promise specifics, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Nikki. I think you've answered that very well. We just have to get started. We've got the building built and we have to get on with it. Good luck with finding the tenants and the people, interested parties. We're very lucky to have the board we have with the expertise of yourself and all the others. And I wish you all the very best. I'm happy to move from the chair. The recommendation, seconded Councillor Nixon. Oh, question, Councillor Nixon.
I did have a question.
Sorry.
That's right. Times are very tough, and finding tenants might be a bit of a challenge in the short term. Does that have any financial implications for the council, for this council? Probably Tony's the one to answer.
Yeah.
Have a crack first, Michael.
Yeah, no, happy to, and I think it is a quite an intelligent question, and the board have asked it as well. And so what we've done is we've done some scenario modelling around tenant uptake from the initial budgets. The initial budgets had tenancy uptake of 65% in the first year, and then sitting flat at 80% to acknowledge throughput of tenants would mean that you need some headroom and empty spaces to facilitate that. The current burn rate in operating costs sits at about 200,000 a year. With the scenario work that we've done, early scenario work that we've done, and the runway that with the committed shareholder funds is 6 years, which has been agreed for some time. You shorten that by about half a year to a year. Whilst you might think that tenancy uptake rates are will have a big impact on the financials, with the scenario work we've done, we've got some comfort that we've got buffering and time to put in contingencies that are required.
Just to add to that, Michael, I mean, the numbers that you've got in the statement of corporate intent don't include any additional revenues from what I call our commercial strategy, from potential naming rights, other forms of income that we may get.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Thank
Councillor Nixon?
I'm happy.
So I have a mover, seconded Councillor Sholem. Any further questions or comments? Put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you for joining us, team, and all the very best, as I said, for the next part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the 27th. Item number 6, the Waimarama Beach Vehicle Access Community Engagement. So as you are all aware, there was a day on the 2nd of December where the community in Waimarama was asked to have their views on any changes, recommendations or changes to the current bylaw. And as you'll see in your papers on image number 1, where the current bylaw sits and how that's working. And so thank you to the team. You've brought back some feedback. You've gained, and have you got a presentation? Have you? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Good afternoon, councillors. Vehicles on Waimarama Beach is a complex issue, and as you'll soon see, the community opinion on this matter is diverse. Land ownership and status is also very complicated, and there are many, many opinions. So if we jump into the presentation. So just to give you a quick background on what has gone before, We have received multiple requests from Waimarama residents and police expressing concern over vehicle behaviour on the beach. This has raised its head, if you like, probably for the last 3 or 4 years with more regularity. So on the 2nd of December, Council facilitated a drop-in day at the Waimarama Hall to seek a wide range of opinions on that very matter. So the public feedback was via My Voice, My Choice surveys, emails, hard copy, as well as the comments that we collected on the day itself. The feedback period ended just before Christmas, and we had over 533 responses, and that picked up other ad hoc comments that came from people who were sending through emails and Facebook comments. They've all, if you like, gone into the pot. As I said earlier, the feedback represented a wide range of contrasting opinions and feelings amongst the community. Okay, thanks. Okay, importantly, the survey was very open-ended, and what we said is vehicle use on the beach an issue. Should the rules for vehicles on Waimarama Beach be changed? We want your ideas, so tell us what you think. That is, it was quite a deliberate intention not to talk about any specific action, rather than tell us what you think. And from that, there came probably 5 key themes, and these are all in your report. 56% responses mentioned safety as a theme, a very strong response. 31% talked about way of life, and that's about recreation activities, fishing, surfing, just picnicking, going down and enjoying the beach, whether it be for solitude or for family, that type of thing. 21% mentioned the environment and ecology as being very important, and 11% responses mentioned a desire to maintain access as a theme as well. So people did like the idea that they could get down there. And 4% mentioned cultural themes. Now, before I go any further, I would like to point out a correction in the report. Well, there should be a correction. That in paragraph 4.6, the graph actually shows the cultural themes as being 40%. That was a glitch in the table. It should be 4%. Okay.
Quite significant.
Quite significant. Very significant. Am I getting in your way?
Thank you. Here we go.
Okay, so further to that, the feedback also had suggested solutions from people. So again, they are varied. 43% mentioned support for a total ban. 37% mentioned maintaining the status quo. So no clear huge one way or the other. However, certainly some solutions coming through. Others mentioned greater need for enforcement. Others mentioned an extension of the ban, so the ban might be of a lesser amount, and that was also part of that total ban. When you look at the feedback you got, what does total ban mean to people? Is it a total ban of what's already in place, or whether it is wider? There's certainly grey areas in there. And then coming down to the use of using permit systems, more education, and more infrastructure-based solutions, such as fencing off areas to make them safe, for instance, in the sand dunes and the like. So, as we say, again, varied amount of solutions. And so the purpose of the original community engagement was to gather information and gauge public sentiment. Okay, from that 533 submissions, we know that community interest is strong, but we also know there's a range of contrasting opinions. And well over half actually mentioned safety as a key issue, and that was probably one of the key drivers that really was one of the key drivers for that engagement to start with. So feedback does not clearly define any exact preferences for the community at this stage. Therefore, the recommended next step is for another round of consultation to more precisely gauge the community appetite for a change or not to the current bylaw, and by which solution is most strongly supported. What we're saying is, if you like, you haven't really got enough information. We don't believe you have enough information to make any of those kind of decisions today. But we said to the community at the drop-in day that we will come back to you. So this report really is talking about how we go back to the community and what form the engagement will take. So in terms of what we think are the key, what the community has told us, there seems to be 4 probably key elements. One is the status quo, which would be to leave the current ban, which is for about 5-6 months of the year outside the main, let's call it swimming area, leave that in place. Or there could be, also there was an indication that some would like a time extension of that current ban area, so make that all year round. Then there were those who would like the ban extended to Te Akatai Road itself, which is an extension in time and the geographical area. And then finally, there was those who are after an extension of a total ban for, if you like, right further north to basically where the beach peters out into rocks and you can't go any further. So that is the kind of key elements we think we've been told. So in terms of the process we're suggesting we would now follow, the first one is report present to council. That's green here today. Okay, then we work on get a completed communications plan, get that finalised on how we're going to do that engagement. We inform the community and invite them to vote on the 4 options that are put forward to you today. We analyse the feedback, seek additional detailed legal or other necessary advice so that we can come back and report back to council on what we can do and what the community wants, most importantly, and how we might be able to do it. So from that next report back to council will be that is probably the key point. If the status quo is what the vast majority want, then the decision for you is whether you say that's it. We'll let it stay as it is with that partial ban in place, or if there's a clear appetite, then you will need to make a decision on you want to actually make a change to a bylaw, and that process has to go through the special consultative procedure. And then we work through that engagement, gives everybody a chance to submit. Most of you will be aware of the bylaw changes that you've worked on in the past. It does take time. Come back to your bylaw subcommittee and then council would make the final decision. In terms of the communication strategy and engagement overview, these are some of the key points that our comms team have said to us. There'll be key audiences, obviously mana whenua, who have a key interest, Waimarama residents and property owners, beach user groups, Hastings residents and district users. They too are all contributors. They all enjoy that. They contribute financially to how it's run. And some of the channels that we would be looking at would be physical markers on the beach so that people will know where the particular geographic areas stop and start, traditional and online media, letterbox drops to a wide range of people to get there, to alert them to the options and how they can engage with us, and a ratepayer letter as well. And perhaps just to clarify on those options, what we're suggesting, option 1, And this is the beach ban area that's in place at the moment under the earlier struck bylaw. That is basically from the boat ramp launching off Harper Road and then going north to still allow access through the Aireni Road down through the reserve, and then they can head north, but they can't, no vehicles allowed in that area between basically Labour weekend and I think it's 1st of April. The option 2 would be to extend that ban to 365 a full year. Then option 3 would be to extend the ban down to Te Akatai Road. So that would be essentially letting vehicles enter at Te Akatai Road and go north, but go north only, not back into the southern end, which is that predominant area of bathers and the more residential and reserve outlook. And then option 4, which on this map we've shown it to be from the boat ramp area north to, there's a little cluster of houses there. But I will make the comment that could be extended if that was a view that was coming through as part of the consultation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. That's a very good presentation. I'll start with you, Councillor Heki. Mark down, so if you could just do your...
Kia ora, Your Worship. So a couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation. I thought it was really good reading. I've actually had locals contact me and have their concerns as well. I wonder, in the presentation though, you just quickly at the end, you mentioned those who are residents of Waimarama. You also mentioned iwi groups. My question is, what is the breakdown of respondees that are actually local residents compared to those who are tourists or have holiday homes who come in? Because I want to understand where the impact is, because the question is, it's very clear that there's a safety impact that's being questioned. That's my first question, if you're able to answer that.
So yeah, we can answer that. In the first round of consultation, 51% of people identified themselves as Waimarama residents, 44% identified as non-Waimarama residents, and 5% identified as non-permanent residents. So that's when people put down their addresses, both Waimarama and somewhere else in the district or country, yeah.
Thank you for that. Because I think it's really important to understand where the impact is coming, what the impact it has on the local community, and then in relation to recommendations and where to from here. I'm under the impression that there's a huge impact culturally around people accessing the beach to gather and collect shellfish and kaimona. And I'm wondering if we've got any statistics from the MPI in regards to poachers being caught on those beaches, because there is a ban for collection of paua and things like that, and that's, I understand, is a cultural issue that they have there as well, and that's been raised with me, that if we don't block off the roads to Te Akitai, then people will just sneak onto the beach and gather and harvest kaimona that's under protection under Rahui. So I wonder if that kind of information we can consider in the next round of consultation.
I think that's a good question you've raised, and I think that is something that, as a stakeholder, we can follow up on with both MPI and local fishing community. Colin, have you got anything to add?
Absolutely back what you say. Certainly, and during the hui at Waimarama, there were many comments about the shellfish beds being affected by vehicles running over, that you've got poaching and things like that happening. Some of that, I would say, is a little bit outside the realm of the things, well, not so much vehicles on the beach, but the actual poaching and that kind of activity is a bit outside our jurisdiction. But however, it is something that people had said would help if you can't get a vehicle down there, then you're less likely to be able to carry on those activities.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Colin.
yeah, absolutely, and that's the impact that it has on that community, and appreciate the feedback on that too, Colin. The other thing, Your Worship, is I've had concerns raised that that police no longer will participate or go out there if there's any issues or concerns. So it's something that's really important that we should consider and try and come to some resolution as quickly as possible for our community.
So, so I'm not sure where that's come from. It's that the police have been very committed to support safety on the beach of Waimarama. In fact, they had people set there for 2 weeks through the Christmas holidays, two police officers. So, you know, but because they you know, have to spread themselves throughout the whole district, if they get a call on a Sunday at Waimarama, they may not be able to get there or may not be able to get there in time. So it is a challenge, but it's a challenge for all areas and all our beaches across Heretaunga. Thank you. I've got questions from Councillor Apatu, Councillor Harvey, Councillor Corbyn, Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Can I just ask whether the officers had thought about proposing an amended bylaw that we could then take to the community that could look at a total ban to speed up the consultative process? I acknowledge and I have a far greater understanding of why after reading the report and listening to the presentation. But if I think about it, and it has come from a community member, the consultative process does seem quite drawn out, and I'm interested to hear your feedback.
Thank you, Councillor. In simple terms, I think the answer is no. This is a process we have to follow, and in fact, on review of the current bylaw, which was put in place over 10 years ago, I think we might have been a bit liberal in our interpretation of the process of how we did it, but certainly we have a process we have to follow and there's no ifs or buts.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. 2 years ago, I was involved in a pretty serious incident down the southern end, around by the boat ramp, and I'm just wondering whether there had been looked at a ban from, I understand that the boat ramp area needs to be accessible, but we're funneling or channeling potentially a greater risk down that area. So what consideration have we taken?
A good question, and it has one that has bubbled up during during this feedback. We've looked at some other responses, and they actually have, as you've said, sort of delineated boat launching areas where your boaties can go and everybody else keeps out, and there's no reason why if a wider ban or an extension of the vehicle ban is contemplated, that it can't cater for those types of activities.
Sorry, Shaughnessy, did you want to add something?
The gentleman sitting up back there, his name's Bryce, and he represents, or doesn't represent, but he's one of the very strong, keen fishermen. So in this next process, we'll be talking about the kind of issues that Councillor Harvey have raised, you know, because there are times when there are conflicts around the boat ramps, and we'll be talking to them as part of that process, because we'll get a little bit more detail onto what happens there, but we're just being a bit cautious at the moment because of the fact that there's actually 2 access points and just how they work, and they'll be able to inform us a lot better.
Councillor Harvey?
This isn't about the boat ramp per se.
Yep.
It's the fact if you close other particular areas, you move the problem. And as someone it was a pretty vicious incident that occurred, and it was because it was pretty much one of the only access points to the beach. So what I can see happening is that we will get a push down to the southern end.
And it'd be quite good to speak in detail about what happened, if we can.
Thank you. I've got you recorded because I'm worried about Councillor Hickey and the sound in his ears. So I've got Councillor Corbyn next.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question follows on from Councillor Hickey's about the respondents that live at the beach and those that don't. And was there any segmentation between those two groups for the answers, particularly for total ban? How many were in favour? I mean, how many at the beach, which way did they go? And how many who didn't live at the beach, which way did they go? So particularly total ban and status quo.
So I don't have that information off the top of my head, but with the way I've got the data structured in my spreadsheets, I should be able to pull it out reasonably easy. But don't have it here today.
Cool, thank you. Councillor Dixon?
Yes, thank you, Worship, and thank you for bringing up the law enforcement earlier. That was one of my concerns around there. It has been effective when it has been present. How would a change of zone change the effectiveness of the police? Would they be out there more often? How would it be enforced with a larger zone?
I'll start and I'll hand to Colin. I mean, I think the challenge, and it goes to some of Councillor Hickey's points, whether it's bylaws or general law, the issue is always going to get to enforcement. And we know that Waimarama has kind of been pretty good over the last few Christmas and New Year periods because the police have committed resource and helped enforce the law. Now, we can work that through with some of the enforcement agencies, but we will have an ongoing question, whatever gets adopted, about enforcement. And it's as simple as that in terms of you can do all the things around education, but ultimately when it comes to bylaws or general laws, it will get down to those responsible for being able to resource and enforce.
Thank you. Councillor Sholem?
Thank you, Worship. I'm not sure what that was. Thank you for the report, team. I just wanted to check in to get an understanding of what our community's expectations are from here, because I understand we've gone out almost with this blank sheet of paper consultation process asking, what are your concerns, what are your thoughts? But I'm just wanting to make sure that they're not expecting that today we're making a bylaw decision. Like, what was the communication to the community during that first process?
Right. They won't have got that from the communications. I do understand that some of the members that came direct to Sandra were hoping that a decision would make today.
There's no decision today.
Oh, that's right.
Can I focus?
They couldn't have got that expectation.
Can I please focus everybody's questions on the options? So you asked today in this paper under the recommendations, have the officers, are these options the best options to consider, to take to the community for their consideration, for their feedback, to understand what is it that they want to see there? So this is a very important matter. Can we just stay focused, please, on are the options right? Have we got everything included? And is there anything else you'd like to see? So let's focus on that part or the recommendations now. Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, thanks. Cars on beaches are a problem over the whole country. We had that incident I think it was at Muriwai in Auckland recently, car rolled. And certainly we've been dealing with the issue at Waimarama for as long as I've been on council, and you've been there at the same time. It just seems to come around every single year. And I actually wonder if what we're proposing is really going to make any difference. And I think Councillor Corbyn raised the issue of some sort of waiting for the submissions. In other words, somebody that goes out there, once or twice a year, makes a submission one way or the other, in my mind has less waiting than somebody that lives there that has to put up with this or wants to go fishing every day. So I think somehow we've got to take more account of exactly who's making the submissions to somehow weight that. The second thing is, where exactly is the problem? I know it's a problem because I've been out there and watched it and seen pictures of it, but the reality is it in the middle sort of, in the general surf club area, or is it the entire coast? Because it's the entire coast, we might as well just leave all the boulders that former councillor put there to stop cars going there at all. But that will
So
upset-
councillor Nixon, we're focusing on those options. Have we got the options covered? Do we think we need to add anything more? Is this the feedback? This is the feedback that came from the open day at the community hub down in Waimarama. And we got, and so now we're focused on, are those 4 options going to be suitable to go out and engage with the community? Can I just say that there's up to 5,000 people there in the summertime. What we started with in 2013 with a bylaw for just the main swimming beach, and what we've got now is an entirely different situation, and we've got members of the community here now. We have a lot of Hastings and Napier residents that go out to use the beach, and we have to keep people safe. And now I want you to focus on recommendations A, B, C and D. Have we covered everything that we need to go out and engage with the community to get their feedback so we can move forward?
I suppose the question I have then is, particularly say B, so we make a decision, what difference it's going to make if there's no enforcement?
The community has come to us and asking for a safe beach. We need to taking some communication back to them to ask their views and get their opinions on those options. Have we got those covered off? Anybody wish to add anything else on those 4 options? Thank you, Councillor Hickey, and then Councillor Corwin. Thank you.
So thank you, Bishop. I didn't answer to your question. We have 4 options there that we can take back to the community. The only thing I suggested was some of the recommendations or the comments that we made today around waiting on those who actually reside there to those who use the beach. That would be my only comment. But we do have options there to take back to the community for a next round of consultation.
Yeah, if I could just through you, Your Worship, add that, I think as Mr Hosford's outlined, we intend to go to the wider community, the wider group of users from a recreational purpose. We will be giving everyone the opportunity, but specifically for those in Waimarama, we will be going out and having another community day and talking to those that directly live in Waimarama. We will, as right under our obligations, we'll also be fronting up to the marae and talking directly with the mana whenua of Waimarama. And I think the point around how do we, when we bring the final feedback, present some of that weighting across those that live there versus the wider district, are things that I think we've got a clear sense of what the council's looking for when ultimately that comes back to the table for a decision.
Thank you. Any further questions? Can I have a direction on this, on the recommendations, please? Councillor Watkins. Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Second. Any further comments? Like a right of reply, Councillor Watkins? No, thank you. All right, I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against?
Aye.
Thank you.
So that's an aye.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. That's an aye. So good luck to the team. We're taking those 4 options now to the community to get their views and understand what is going to impact and be the most beneficial for the community and the wider Hastings and Napier districts. Thank you. Thank you for our residents who have attended. If you're very welcome to stay on, but if you wish to leave, that is entirely over to you. But thank you for joining us for this paper today. Now we have the updated terms of reference of Risk and Assurance Committee, a very important committee as we recover from Cyclone Gabrielle. Welcome to you, Regan.
Thank you, Worship. Good afternoon, everyone. The paper can be taken as read. I'll just add this is really, I think, just expanding on an existing role of the committee, just to provide clarification for the members present, and it reflects some expert advice we've recently received from the new independent member. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No comments? Yes, thank you, councillor Fowler.
Happy to move, your worship. Makes perfect sense.
Thank you, councillor Fowler. Thank you, councillor Nixon. You happy to second? Cool, thank you. No further questions or comments on this item. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Oh, one moment, please. I'd like to add a recommendation, so we'll just take that back, councillor Fowler, and the seconder, councillor Nixon. I would like to make a recommendation C, that the chair of Strategy and Policy Committee, councillor Sholem, is included as a member of the Risk and Assurance Committee. Councillor Fowler?
Happy to move, your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon, you comfortable to second that? Thank you. Now I'll put those recommendations.
Yeah, just a correction.
Yes.
Does it need to have a name? It's just the chair of Strategy and Policy Committee. It's not a name. If it's got a name, then you've got to revisit it.
Good recommendation. I'm happy just the chair of Strategy and Policy is included as a member of the Risk and Assurance Committee. Oh. Certain.
That you task me to arrange for an update of the council delegations, and then I'll bring that paper back.
Oh, we can't just add it to a recommendation.
We'll have to also adjust the delegations, which I'll take care of.
Oh, there we go. We tried to be clever today. Look at that.
So perhaps if I add that direction that you task me to amend the delegations, and you can vote on that now as well. And then I don't have to.
Right, do you want to put something up? Thank you. All right, we'll just take a couple of minutes, and Mr. Cameron will put something up on the screen for us. So if we take a look up there, we've got a recommendation C. Could the mover and second have a look at that and see if they're comfortable with that direction? Councillor Fowler?
Yep, happy, your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon? Sorry, so if you could just raise your hands if you're on risk and assurance, please. And councillor Kerr? Thank you. Okay, thank you. So you're happy to second? Sorry, councillor Corbyn?
I just want to make sure, but I think it is there, that is not only the Chair of Strategy and Recovery, but also the Chair of Ops and Monitoring.
Through your worship, that was done last year, councillor Harvey's.
Yes, it was done last year. Thank you. All right, happy to. We've got a mover and a second. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much, Regan. Welcome, Kev. And this is the amendment to the Royal Halls Maintenance Fund Policy for 2024. Welcome to you, Kev. We haven't got our Royal Councillors with us today, but I've heard from the Chair, Jonathan Stockley, that they are very comfortable with this direction. So anybody wish to speak against the recommendations? Anyone wish to support in favour? Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. Just with the representation on the actual committee, which was also part of the paper, there isn't a Takitimu ward role, and a lot of those halls are actually in, they're all in the rural areas, and I just wondered whether that representation that we've previously had is something that just hasn't actually been looked at in the past.
Royal Horse Committee. Delegations.
I'm not sure of the answer to that question, sorry.
I'll just ask Mr. Cameron. So the Royal Horse Committee is made up of, could you just explain who it's made up of, please?
Through you, Madam Chair. So Councillor Upto is the Takitimu Ward representative on the Rural Community Board. The Rural Halls Subcommittee is a subcommittee of the Rural Community Board. I don't know at hand who are the members actually on that subcommittee, but I would also point out that the Rural Community Board is not actually a committee of council, it's a separate statutory jurisdiction. So the Takitimu representation is accounted for by the appointment of Councillor Hapatu as a Takitimu member onto the Rural Community Board.
Yeah. Wonderful, thank you so much. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Rural Halls Subcommittee is made up of the Rural Community Board members plus the 2 Hiratonga Ward councillors.
Okay, thank you.
Worship.
Councillor Hickey.
Just a question, and just in regards to Councillor Harvey's comment, should there be a recommendation for a Takitimu Ward member to be appointed, as opposed to, we know that Councillor Apatu is a member? Should it be a directive now that we have Takitimu Ward here?
It's just understanding, please, the process of the Rural Halls Committee and the oversight from all of our councillors, Takitimu Ward councillors. Councillor Apatu, you're on the board, Rural Board, so you're representing a lot of the members. So the oversight, this information comes back to the board?
Yes, it does. Very good information comes back to the board.
Okay, so we've got a Takitimu Ward councillor that is representing our Takitimu Ward on the Halls Committee. Thank you. Rural Halls Committee. And Rural Community Board. Yeah. Councillor Apatu?
Just a small question, if I may. I was just interested to not see Crown Thorpe Hall on the Rural Committee. Thank you.
Through Chair, Crown Thorpe Hall has never been part of the Rural Community Board network, but we can absolutely look at it and bring a paper to the Rural Community Board moving forward.
So we take that as an action. Thank you, team. All right, thank you. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dixon. Councillor Apatu, did you want to second the recommendations?
Very happy to second that.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions and comments? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Item number 9. Moving on now to public access to council workshops. Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll take the report as read. This is in response to the Ombudsman's report, which is highlighted in 1.1 paragraph, which was issued last year. the Ombudsman has made it clear he has an expectation that local government makes all reasonable efforts to be open and transparent. So the recommendation at a high level is that rather a policy default position that workshops are closed, the default position is fundamentally that workshops are open, and then the council goes through a considered process to determine if the workshops should be closed or not. And it also reinforces that workshops are for understanding wider and broader information, and they should not be a de facto decision-making processes that should be dealt with in council meetings.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey?
Thank you. A lot of the workshops that we have, we don't really get supplied much reading materials prior. How do you see that being compensated for or as part of those workshops going forward? So at the moment with the council meeting, all of the papers are public and they're loaded onto the website and the like, whereas workshops, they don't. And so is that part of the question? And also additionally, just the increase in administration time as well, please.
So through the report, the Ombudsman makes comment on the purpose of workshops. So there's certainly not a explicit direction, and I don't infer one that there should be comprehensive written material to a report standard to underpin the purpose of the workshop. It's accessibility to the workshop where council's iterative and deliberative processes as you work your way towards what's going to be a report to council, that the public can see that in action. There's been some commentary that workshops could be live streamed. We don't live stream all council meetings at the moment, simply from a capacity point of view that I'd have to take on additional FTE staff to achieve that. So in answer to your question, if we're going to have open workshops, we'd probably look to publish or make available for the public any relevant presentations and things, but I don't see any need to take on an additionality of provision of information for the public lens. That remains a matter, and something that I usually discuss with officers is additional reading material going to be helpful for the councillors and make the workshop processes more efficient. So in net effect, I don't see any additional administrative load on us. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. I may be wrong, but I've got a feeling that often workshops are called on a shorter notice than a council meeting. And what's going to be the rules or the operation around notice of a workshop? Is it going to align with the regulation about calling a council meeting, or will it just be as we've got it now?
No, workshops aren't covered in your standing orders in terms of procedural requirements, and standing orders are fundamentally derived from the overarching statute. So, and these are recommendations from the Ombudsman. You're not legally bound to follow them. So I think it's more a case of council making best efforts and demonstrably making best efforts to comply with the spirit of the report, which is that greater level of transparency. And from the administrative side of things, we will be making best efforts to be as transparent as we can, but there will be times when matters come up with urgency, and we just have to make best efforts around that. So, but unlike extraordinary council meetings, there's no statutory requirements around the timing of your workshops.
Councillor Sholin.
Thank you, Worship. I think we all know that the foundation of democracy is transparency and accessibility, so I think this is an excellent recommendation that's been put before us, and I'm also pleased to see that there is a process for addressing those things that might be commercially sensitive or a conceptual stage, which wouldn't make sense to have open to the community. So I think this is a solid way forward to ensuring our community can participate as is appropriate. I'm very happy to move the recommendations.
Thank you, councillor Sholem. Councillor Nixon, do I have a seconder first? Thank you, councillor Jessup. Councillor Nixon?
Yeah, I just wondered, we often receive papers that are withdrawn before you even leave the chamber in workshops. How are we going to handle this? Are we going to toss everybody out every... What?
An appropriate question.
Why?
We do not have paper. We have commercially sensitive papers that may be collected up at the end. So we will have two parts. If you read the paper, we have two parts of an agenda. One part will be commercially sensitive, which must be dealt with as a PX item, as a workshop, and the front part, which is the general overview of the project or program or piece of work stream we're working on. So the only reason why any papers would be removed is because they have commercial sensitivity. They're something to do with a commercial aspect of a project. So
I'll speak on the issue when the time comes.
Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Worship. I notice this is only a recommendation from the Chief Ombudsman. I'd be very interested to know what other councils are doing in regards to this recommendation, and also how are accidental breaches of confidentiality treated when it's an open workshop?
Mr. Cameron, thank you.
So through you, Madam Chair, so obviously on behalf of the Chief Executive, I'm in the background managing or making recommendations around the management of confidentiality for council meetings and committee meetings. I fully expect that the Chief Executive will be expecting me to manage satisfactorily those situations going forward. I may be going out on a limb here, but I fully expect he'll be expecting me to do that.
And just in relation to the other part of the question, through you, Your Worship, can't talk around a national picture, but each of the councils in Hawke's Bay have adopted basically the spirit of the recommendation of the Ombudsman's report, which is the default is to be open, recognising that there will be appropriate reasons for things not being dealt with. But that is the position of certainly the Hawke's Bay councils. I can't comment more broadly than that around the national trend.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I understand the two parts about PX and then general discussions about other things in a workshop. We have an unwritten convention in this chamber that what we talk about in workshops stays within these walls. That's an accepted convention, always has been on my time with the council. And we're all privy to private information, confidential information, and even discussing in a workshop items that are not PX, because we're in the four walls, we often refer to that information, that private information, because we can share it in here safely. We can't do that. That takes away that option for us. That takes away bringing more to the table in the general discussion. And I don't support it for that reason. I think I understand what the Ombudsman is getting about, where possibly councils are using workshops as default meetings to sort of sort out votes. That doesn't happen in this council. So I'm for the status quo.
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Any further comments? And Councillor Apatu, thank you.
No, I support the transparency and having open workshops. I think it's a great idea for our community to be involved. I think we just manage it professionally around confidentiality and parking things that are sensitive.
And can I just pick up on the point that our workshops are never about decision making. Our workshops are about information. And if I can just remind you, that is what the officers bring us, is information on work streams and projects, programs that we have directed under the vision of the long-term plan. And then any decision on any direction needs to be done at a council meeting, as we are today. So it's just reminding you of the process. Workshops are very much about only information sharing. Thank you. So I have a recommendation. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Sholem, seconded Councillor Jessup. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Yes. 3. Thank you. Thank you. You want your names recorded? Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. And the motion is carried. Thank you. To item number 10, the appointment of a Hastings District Council Tangata Whenua Wastewater Joint Committee. And Craig, would you take us through? We've got a recommendation for LB Baker to join.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I'll just take the paper as read. The paper explains your statutory processes, and yes, the recommendation is the appointment of Mr. LB Baker.
Thank you. Can I have a representative of the Tangata Whenua Wastewater Joint Committee member to move the recommendations?
I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Apatu. Any other members on that joint committee who would like to second? Councillor Jessup? And because you've all been through this process together. So any further questions or comments about that appointment? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you very much. That's moving on to item 10 now. And obviously we haven't got Louise here today, so we've got a petition. We've got the petition to replace the bird bath at. Sorry. Item 11. Petition to replace the bird bath at Kaironga Gardens. And Mr. Cameron, today we're just receiving the petition. There's a paper here.
As through Madam Chair, I think take the paper as read. The paper, I think, addresses the issues raised by the petitioner, and the wildlife, I think, is well accommodated in terms of the provision of water going forward.
Thank you. Councillor Sholem.
Very happy to move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sholem. Councillor Fowler.
Be cathartic for me to second it, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Yes, has the petitioner accepted the resolution that we say we've come to?
Well, this is just receiving the petition today, and the petitioner will be notified after this decision is made today. Mr.
But it says it's been resolved. This is an item C.
Yes.
To be resolved does not mean the petitioner.
Smith is across this. Thank you very much, Scott.
Through you, Your Worship. The lead petitioner does know the nature of the resolutions you're considering today. We've had communication from her that she agrees that no further action is necessary given what's taken date.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover and a seconder. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Moving on to item number 12. This is the request for information under Lagoima Local Government Official Information Act. We've got a number of questions. As you'll see, councillors, we've asked for the time and the hours that have been spent on Lagoima requests. Councillor Nixon. Any questions on this paper, councillors? It's very interesting to see the amount of hours that have been spent on some of these items. Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, it is. I agree with you. And I'm just wondering if this has been kept in a format that will be made easy to interrogate in the future should we need to do so. Will we be able to easily interrogate the number of hours?
I'm just not sure.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just missed the first part of the question there.
I am complimenting you on keeping a record of estimated hours that were taken for each Lagoima, and I'm just interested to know if this is being retained in a format that would allow us to make inquiries of it in the future if we wished to do so.
I'm not overly skilled on the use of spreadsheets, but I hazard a guess, yes.
Thank
And,
you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move, Your Worship.
Seconded, councillors. Councillor Dixon, Councillor Apatu, second. And my question really is to the officers. Many councils across New Zealand, because are challenged by the amount of staff hours that have been used to conduct Logoima requests. Have we investigated charging for Logoimas?
Yes, Madam Chair, and I've been concerned about the workloads on council for Logoima requests. I'm fully cognizant of why it's important that we have the process. In terms of hours, I would regard this as quite a light month on our staff, and we're working through a policy for charging, which I hope to bring to the next month's council meeting for adoption, or consideration anyway.
Okay, thank you. That's great. We've advanced that work. Thank you very much. Did I put that recommendation? Oh, I did. Oh, good. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Now we're moving on to the proposed amendment to schedules of meeting, item 13, and there are only two. Thank you, Councillor Nixon. Seconded, Councillor Watkins. Any questions on those changes? Thank you. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much. Well, that concludes our public part of our agenda, and I'd like to thank any of our community who have joined us today for our today's council meeting. And look forward to carrying out all the mahi in front of us in the coming month, and we'll be back again in a few weeks' time. Mā te wā. Just before we move into public excluded, could I just ask, and then the recommendation of item 16, if Mr Cameron, you could explain why this item should be in a public excluded agenda.
So through you, Madam Chair, the agenda relates to a board appointment. Paper contains commercially sensitive information and the information of individuals. It's recommended at this time it's appropriate the matters heard in public excluded.
Thank you. For that consideration, I'm happy to move from the chair. Do I have a seconder to move into PX? Councillor Sholem. Thank you. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That matter is carried. So we now move into public excluded part of our agenda, and thank you to everyone who's joined us today.